Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive and honestly kind of overlooked part of U.S. history, the real environmental footprint of human innovation. We're going to see exactly how our progress has shaped the world around us, sometimes for the better, but also dangerously for the worse.
So let's just dive right into this with a huge question. It's something we absolutely have to ask ourselves right up front when we study history. Does human innovation always mean things are actually improving for everyone? It's so easy to look at a shiny new invention, a massive factory, or a booming city and just think, wow, look how far we've come. But as we're about to see, the true definition of progress is way more complicated when you take a step back and look at the whole picture.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit 5 main points: the double-edged sword, changing the landscape, the cost to communities, balancing growth and preservation, and finally, education requires morality. Starting right off with Section 1, the double-edged sword, exploring innovation versus harm. Now, to really grasp why human progress acts like this double-edged sword, we anchor our worldview right here on Psalm 24:1. It says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it." And recognizing that the earth ultimately belongs to God, well, that completely flips our perspective. It means we're actually called to be responsible, careful stewards of the environment, preserving it for future generations, rather than just acting like careless consumers who take whatever they want whenever they want it. Moving into Section 2, changing the landscape, focusing on deforestation and pollution. This really perfectly illustrates the friction of agricultural expansion, right? Yes, clearing out these massive forests undeniably boosted crop production, and it allowed cities to rapidly expand to house a booming population. But the hidden, very dangerous cost of all that deforestation was a massive hit to biodiversity and intense soil erosion. I mean, without the strong, deep roots of trees holding the earth in place, vital topsoil literally just washed away. So in our rush to farm more for today, we were actually destroying the Earth's ability to support farming for tomorrow.
And we see a super similar story with the Industrial Revolution. Sure, it brought incredible economic growth, thousands of new jobs, modern conveniences, you name it. But it also triggered a devastating chain reaction. We had unregulated factories dumping toxic waste directly into nearby rivers. That obviously contaminated the drinking water, killed off local wildlife, and the ultimate result, these widespread, terrible outbreaks of waterborne diseases spreading like wildfire through crowded industrial cities. Which brings us to Section 3, the cost to communities, dealing with displacement and loss. Because, the impact of all this progress isn't just about geography or nature. It's deeply, deeply personal. Imagine for a second that you and your family were suddenly forced to leave your home, your neighborhood, literally everything you've ever known behind, simply because someone else decided they wanted to build something massive right where you live. This wasn't just some hypothetical thought experiment. This was the tragic historical reality for so many Native American tribes. Back in the 1800s, enormous infrastructure projects, like sweeping railroad expansions and the construction of these colossal dams, forced entire communities to completely relocate from their ancestral lands.
And being pushed out like that didn't just mean a sudden change of address. It meant a heartbreaking, multi-generational loss. We're talking about the loss of centuries-old cultural ties to the land. Their traditional livelihoods, the very ways they fed and supported their families, were completely destroyed. The whole community's stability just vanished. And this is exactly why we say that unchecked expansion can cause profound social disruption that doesn't just go away. It lasts for generations. So what do we do about it? Section 4, balancing growth and preservation, the path forward. Knowing all this history, how in the world do we balance the undeniable benefits of innovation with the very urgent need for preservation? There is a real tension here. We absolutely need economic growth, right? Innovation, built cities, and agricultural surplus to feed a growing world, that's all crucial. But we have to weigh that against our responsibilities. We simply cannot allow that growth to come at the painful expense of human dignity, long-term environmental health, or the exploitation of vulnerable people. True progress means we have to figure out how to hold both of these priorities in perfect harmony. And that leads to our final point, Section 5, education requires morality, focusing on the godly learner. Understanding this history brings us straight to the core philosophy of the HeroesMart Academy Godly Learner series. And it's this: true education absolutely must be intertwined with biblical morality. Why? Well, because education without morality is actually going to hurt us in the end. Think about the history we just covered.
The people who built those polluting factories, the ones forcing communities off their land. They were incredibly smart, highly educated engineers and businessmen. But seriously, what is the point of being highly educated if you're just going to use that intelligence to make bad choices that exploit the earth and harm other people? True education means you have to pair a sharp mind with a strong moral compass. And actually, anchoring our education in morality isn't some heavy burden that's meant to hold you back. It's a gift. Romans 8:6-7 promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. It's something we can experience every single day. It proves that pairing immense knowledge with a good spiritual heart is really the only reliable path to a genuinely successful and peaceful life. Okay, to solidify what we've unpacked today, let's go over your homework. These 5 questions are designed to challenge your understanding of everything we just talked about. I want you to really dig deep here. 1. What was the true cost of deforestation? 2. What were the downstream effects of industrial pollution? 3. Can you name a tragically displaced group? 4. Why is balancing growth so crucial? And 5. How can the mistakes of the past actively guide our future? I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to carry with you long after this explainer ends. You are the next generation of innovators, builders, and leaders. So now that you know the hidden costs of the past, how will your choices protect the world tomorrow? Thanks so much for tuning in, and stay curious.